Hello, baby.
Hello, nasty. Hello there.
Hello.
I say hello.
Hello, friend.
Well, hello, little girl.
Hello, my treacherous friends.
Hello, operator.
The beginning of everything.
Welcome back, my friends. It's showtime.
Hey everybody, it's episode 165 of The Brink of Sanity, I believe. And we have a new guest on the show. It is not only Marc today. We have Dan Crall on the show.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
You have a beautiful radio voice.
I love this. I was going to say, I love this show. It's a great podcast. I really appreciate you having me on this evening.
You don't have to pretend you've heard the show before, Dan. It's okay.
I'm just saying. I was just now as you played the theme song, I was giggling to myself on how exciting this was.
Do you know who's not going to hear the show tonight, by the way?
Who?
Whitney Houston.
That's true.
Hey, Dan, so why don't you... what's going on with you, man? Where are you right now?
I'm in Corvallis, Oregon. It's a town here in western Oregon, about an hour and 20 minutes from the ocean. We're also 90 miles south of Portland, kind of near the Cascades a little bit. Beautiful place to be, and I'm just a fan of the show. I'm doing stand-up comedy here in this town where we got a little comedy scene developing, and I'm just, I've been listening to The Brink of Sanity for probably about 5 months now, and it was just nice to contact Jay and actually get to be on the show. I've listened through a lot of the archives, so I catch up on things that you guys are talking about. Of course, it's like, oh, that happened a year and a half ago. But it's okay. It's still timeless material to listen to, especially when I wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. It's often soothing enough, yet it holds my interest. It's not annoying. I really enjoy it. It's like hanging out with friends.
Well, I'm glad we help you fall asleep.
I've heard people sometimes will give like a mix. They'll take like the best of our show, kind of mix it together, and give it as a gift for like Valentine's Day to their girlfriends.
Now that is a gift that will get you laid.
Yes, absolutely. Our show is like a love song.
Yeah, so we try to keep the show not too current event, so you could go through the archives and, it's not like, I don't know what they're talking about, or, that's like old news. But I think we do need to make fun of Whitney Houston a little bit.
Oh, of course.
I thought you were going to say something nice, like, we got to mourn her.
Well,
that's what everyone else is doing.
You know what? The good thing is, no matter when you hear the show, today or a year from now, it'll still be like relevant because she'll still be dead.
Right, it's a time capsule to show you when the show was recorded.
It's just amazing that like somebody dies and all of a sudden everybody loves them and their music was the greatest thing. It's like, name 2 songs by her. Go.
Bodyguard song, I Will Always Love You, and
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yeah. My wife was going through all her greatest hits last night, playing them, and like, oh my gosh, she sung that, I sung that. And she has like 170 million records and whatever.
See, you cheated. You listened to the whole discography yesterday in the morning.
My wife was like going crazy. She's like, oh my God, she's dead. Let's listen to her songs.
I don't know if you guys noticed that this happens on Facebook when Steve Jobs died. Just go to the page where people like Steve Jobs and click refresh, and it seems he gets about 200 new likes a minute. Then I noticed the same thing with the New York Giants after they won the Super Bowl. Their numbers were exponential, and the same thing with Whitney Houston after the news broke yesterday. You just click refresh and see that Whitney Houston all of a sudden has 160 new likes, 200 new likes, 500, 1,000.
Is it weird when the headline is like Whitney Houston is dead and someone clicks like?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way, but Facebook only allows me to say it that way. So.
Well, the headlines read, Whitney Houston's cause of death investigation may take weeks. I can save us all a few weeks with a simple guess. Drug overdose.
Ding, 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 ding.
I thought they would have like a prize, like guess the amount of drugs she took and the type, and maybe you can win like a free trip to the funeral.
It's one of those like carnival things where they have like the big jar of jelly beans. You guess how much crack was in her system.
So everyone's talking about like how like it's sad. I mean, it's sad that anyone dies, and she died 48. It's sad, but you know who's the most pissed off person alive right now? Is the dude that runs the Grammy Awards are tonight. And because she's dead yesterday and she's a big music star, they have to do like a little tribute to her. So the guy who's doing the Grammys is like, the guy who's choreographing the whole show is like, everything's good, I've got everything prepared.
Yeah.
Fuck, I have to do a tribute to Whitney Houston. Why did that bitch, couldn't you fucking have died Monday after the Grammys? You fucked up my weekend. I was gonna spend my time with my kids, but you had to do a lot of crack. Thank you, Whitney.
Yeah, or in NPR's case, they probably took one look at Whitney 10 years ago and said, we need to prepare something that airs the day she dies. They did that with Castro, you know.
Did
when
they?
I used to work at a public broadcasting station, they had sent us. Remember when Castro was expected to die that day? I don't know if you guys. It was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
He's still not dead though, right?
He's still alive, as far as I know. But they sent us.
Apparently,
this special.
he lives healthier than Whitney.
They sent radio stations a special, and they said as soon as he dies, put this on. It was a memory of his life, and the announcer even says, Fidel Castro is dead, and we never aired it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I guess you can do that for a lot of musical artists. Like once they just stop coming out with good albums, like you could probably just do a whole Metallica one because nobody's going to want to hear their new crappy music in the montage anyway.
Do you know what's probably crazy? Probably NPR made one for like Keith Richards or Mick Jagger, and the guys that made it for them are actually already dead because they made it so long ago.
They made it in like 86.
They probably made it like in 76.
They're like, the Steel Wheels tour is definitely going to kill them.
You're like, you know how much drugs they take? They will be dead by the time they are 35. I guarantee it. And the guy who like said that's probably dead of old age.
Who's to say they're not doing a Weekend at Bernie's type thing with Keith Richards?
It's on the table. It's very possible. We have baby cast going on. Who's baby?
That's not mine.
You guys can hear that. I'll quiet the boy.
It's not even Marc's baby. That's insane. Usually, that's
my son's 2 years old, and my wife and he were about to go for a walk.
usually our end of the show alarm when Marc's baby goes off.
Mine is 7 months, and it's kind of more of an emergency usually.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no problem. It sounds like he's quiet now. Somebody's echoing, though. We're very professional as usual on this show.
Or the opposite of.
Babies, echoes. Get it all here.
Yeah. Are we still airing?
We are still airing because I do not like editing, so I apologize for the...
I would have been more entertaining if I realized we were going to keep everything on the show. So, yeah, Whitney Houston is dead, and it's sad but funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying people dying early is funny, but...
I don't know if I'd say it's funny. I'm indifferent.
You want to play a couple of her greatest hits?
Yeah, we have. Well, yeah. Why don't you play like her? Probably. What do you think her biggest hit is? Well, why don't you play it?
Okay.
I want to dance with somebody.
I was gonna say one of the Bodyguard, but Jay thinks it's different. What do you think it is?
Yeah, it's
Play
close. It's this.
But why is it so turbulent?
I think marriage is turbulent. You know, we're just in the public eye. You know, a lot of people, that are married go through worse problems than us.
Have you ever hit her?
No. I wouldn't.
Where's
I would
hitting me?
never. I have four
That's
sisters.
it.
What does hitting mean? Is that what you said?
No, I don't think he said what he means. But
No,
I just
that's
love
what
his
she said.
So that's not even the best. That's not the best one. But I love his reaction. Have you ever hit her? No. Do you know something? No. I didn't. No.
Didn't Ike Turner say that too?
Yeah.
I've never said no 8 or 9 times in a row unless I definitely did it.
Yeah, exactly. Anything more than 2 no's, you're guilty.
Yeah, it's like some kind of the second no negates anything else you had to say. But that's not. I don't think that's her greatest hit.
How about this one?
Do you think how dangerous it was?
No, I would like shooting heroin or anything.
This says $730,000 drug habit. This is a headline.
Come on. 730? I wish. No, I wish whoever's making that money off of me could share it with me. No way. I want to see the receipts from the drug dealer that I bought $730,000 worth of drugs from. I want to see the receipts.
Because most drug dealers give you a receipt.
So that's an interview from Diane Sawyer, and I can't believe she wouldn't at least follow up with Jay's question. Like, I mean, Receipts?
Well, it's a well-purported myth. I remember when growing up in Northwest Indiana, my friends and I were walking or my friend Nick and I actually were walking on a back gravel road. We saw a car far in the distance. We were probably like 9 years old, and we saw him throwing all kinds of what looked like white papers into the ditch, and then he sped off when he saw us coming, and we were like, I'll bet it's drug receipts. And we ran up, and sure enough, it was porn.
It's always porn. There's always.
I found so much porn in the woods growing up. Finding porno in the woods is a bygone era.
There was always
That's
porn.
like, like the happiest day ever for an 11-year-old.
I mean, there was every single
Just
woods.
another day.
Every single woods had porn in it. It was amazing.
That's why, I actually have this stack of porno in my closet. Some of it dates back to junior high, and, I want to get rid of it because got the online selection, but, I don't want to just recycle it or give it away to an old man. I want to put it somewhere where some teenager will find it. I want to give back. I want to give back.
It's too bad
I'd actually like to see the scene where you're like, you go to an old folks' home and you hand out the old porn.
I mean, it's too bad we chopped
so
down all
much.
the woods because you can't really do that anymore. Like all the woods I used to hang out in are chopped down, so I can't even
developments.
Yeah, I can't reciprocate now. It's a shame.
That's the story in Northwest Indiana. Not so much out here. We've got some woods out here, but
Just to clarify, guys, by the way, my drug dealer sends me monthly statements, not like individual receipts. What about you guys?
Oh yeah, I went paperless years ago.
Yeah, most of it you can see the receipts on the credit card. I mean, God.
well, I was inspired by the event on the back road, so I still keep it on a long sheet of computer paper.
Has it ever been confirmed why there's always porn in the woods?
Well, I honestly think, because I worked in a porno store for a little while in Gary, Indiana, my theory is that you've got a lot of married men. What's that?
Hang on, you worked in a porno store?
I did for a summer, yeah.
For a summer? It was like an internship?
It was the only job I could get. I mean, I had been fired from a bunch of waitering jobs at restaurants for mouthing off. Imagine that.
It's really hard not to. People don't understand how aggravating waiting jobs are.
Yeah, it really is a stressful job, and you get to really be cynical and hateful. But
as interesting as that is, the porn store. I want to hear more about this.
So
I've been to the waitering. I hear about that. I don't hear about people getting jobs at the porn store, especially summer internships.
Yeah. I actually this was probably the last viable job that existed in print newspaper. It was the summer when I was 21 before I went off to college at Ball State, and like I said, I've been fired from a bunch of waitering jobs.
Can I throw in? Hang on. So you left your internship. Sorry, you worked at a porn store, and your next move was to go to a place called Ball State.
Balls Tate, as we called it. I actually I did. I completely would recommend this to anybody considering going to college. I did it the right way. I stayed at home until I was 20 or 21, actually. I did the community college thing, got all my core credits out of the way. Then I went away to Ball State to do really cool classes in telecommunications. So it's like I actually went away to school. I actually stayed in the 21 and over dorm for a year. But yeah, the summer before I went to Ball State, I worked in the porno store. And it was up in Gary, Indiana, which is, for anybody who knows the area, a fucking ghetto. And not a lot of white people would hang out in Gary except unless they were buying weed or crack, or in my case, shopping at the porno store or hanging out in the beat-off booths.
Can I ask? So, at what point in the summer do you find the job at the porn store? Like, is that I'll get a job at the porn store, or is how many places do you look before you find this job?
Well, I was just looking for work because I had been fired and I had been out of work for about 2 weeks or something like that. I mean, I was living with my mom and stepdad, so it wasn't terrible. It's like I was destitute and I knew I was going to be going off to school. I mean, that was the plan for several years. So I thought, I've got one summer left here. Fuck it, I'll work at the porno store. I'm kind of one of those people, thanks to John Waters and many other influences. I kind of celebrate filth. I'm not so much Jerry Springer. That stuff kind of brings a tear to my eye because I'm so distraught at how trashy and fucked up some Americans are. But when it's filth in style, like working at a porno store, especially the outfits I would wear to work, fuck, dude.
What was your interview like at the store?
It was very short. Actually, the guy who ran the store was this big fat Mexican dude who just reeked of inner shit. Like he had a really bad diet, so you could smell his feces in every breath he breathed out. And he just asked me a few questions, and
Let's look. I'll play the Mexican guy without the accent. Let's recreate the interview. What makes you think you'd be good for a porno store?
well, I've got customer service skills. I like to be around people. And heck, I have so little pride, I might even mop up some spooge.
Do you have experience with jacking off?
Plenty, sir. Plenty.
What makes you think I have a lot of really good candidates for this position as the counter clerk at the porn store? What makes you think you'd be better than everyone else?
Well, sir, I have all my teeth. I'll show up on time and do a good job. I'll recommend the best porno to anybody who asks. And by God, I'll even do a live demonstration with a dildo if I'm asked to.
Okay, so a Haitian midget walks in and says, I want the best porn you have. What do you tell him?
I'd say, well, my personal favorite is Booty Talk 49.
Not part.
That actually was a real big. That was the most rented porno in the. I mean, we had a lot of people who come and rent gay porn, but Booty Talk, the series, was phenomenal. It was always rented out. People would put holds on Booty Talk.
I'm assuming this was on VHS.
No, this was DVD. This summer when I was 21. I was born in December of 1980, so when I was 21.
Did you have to call people and be like, Mr. Jenkins, Booty Talk 49 is in. I know you put a hold on that. Please come in and get it. If you don't call me back the next day, we'll have to give Booty Talk to someone else. It's in demand.
I think now that you mention it, I think we did.
That's amazing. Just leaving it on the voicemail, hoping he has like a wife and kids.
Well, I'll make it very clear. I never did mop up or clean up any spooge. That was not my job description.
That
People
was my
ask
next
that.
question.
Sure you didn't. Sure you didn't. Okay, go on.
I wouldn't have.
Sure. What? Yeah, I'm sure you didn't. Go on.
No, they actually hired this Russian immigrant couple who were like in their 60s. They would come in once a week, and they wouldn't even really clean up. So it was like, why the fuck do they even come in? But they'd come in like we'd have to let them in. It's an hour before we'd open, like every Thursday or whatever. But that was an interesting job. I mean, I have tons of stories from that job. I mean,
can you imagine also that Russian couple? They're like 55 years old, finally escaping Russia. We're going to America. In America, everything will be better. I heard the streets are lined with gold. I heard there's candy canes on sidewalks. We got the job cleaning splooge.
It ain't candy canes.
Honey, today I think we kill ourselves.
Probably better than what they were doing back in Russia.
What would they be doing in Russia? That'd be so much worse. They actually probably were like, how do we get back to Russia? In Russia, they may have tortured us every day and didn't give us anything to eat, but it was better than the splooge.
They had the same job in Russia, but there was no mop.
and the spooge was part of the permafrost.
Yeah, actually, they got to take some splooge home. Yeah, it was it was a benefit at home.
In Russia, we wait 8 hours online for spooge.
In America, there's splooge everywhere. I got some fresh spooge on my face.
Most of the people who would come into the beat-off booths were white men. A lot of times.
How do we transition from Whitney Houston's death to a beat-off booth? Go on.
Well, I would say that a lot of the male prostitutes that came into the porno store looked kind of like Whitney Houston.
Fair enough.
And there were a few of them, and some of them were fairly convincing. The one who was the most convincing was this guy who I saw coming. He came walking down the sidewalk. I was sitting outside one summer evening. The breeze was flowing nicely. And what looked like a beautiful woman walking towards me was this guy who was wearing, like jogging shorts with no underwear, and I saw his dong flopping around, and it was gross. I mean, I'm not 100% straight, I'll admit that, but this grossed me out.
Yeah, I can see that.
I got propositioned.
Good. I mean, I guess it'd be really bad if you didn't get propositioned at the porn store.
It's good for the self-esteem.
Yeah, you'd be like, these people are disgusting, and they don't want me.
It was mostly men in their 50s and up who, it was like the guy who was the manager at the Kohl's by the mall. And it was weird because after he had hit on me several times, I turned down every time because it did not interest me. I was with my mom shopping at Kohl's, and we saw this guy, and we were checking out, and it was just very awkward. My mom is one of those people. I don't go shopping with my mom a whole lot, but sometimes she insists, and she'll buy me stuff that I need. But that was back when I was in college, and I make my own way these days. And besides, I don't really buy many clothes that don't come from a thrift store. You guys are probably chic New York dudes. Don't want to dress up in thrift store clothes, or am I wrong? Are you the hipster type?
I'm sort of in between. I mean, I'm definitely a t-shirt and jeans type of guy.
Yeah.
I would say I'm more like Jay in that respect.
Yeah.
What does your t-shirt say?
Well, yesterday I had a Pac-Man t-shirt, so it was just the eyes of the ghost.
I have a collection of Under Armour t-shirts that are comfortable.
That all have baby puke on them.
Yes, they all have baby puke on them.
I'm wearing a shirt that has a ribbon on it, a red, white, and blue ribbon, as if like we're going to say support our troops, but it says, I support meaningless, jingoistic cliches.
I did go to Brooklyn this weekend, and
Do you support dying for those meaningless, jingoistic cliches?
Well, I guess that's kind of a loaded question. Is that what they're really dying for these days?
I have a question. So you come home, you're like, Mommy, I got a job. Not that you call your mom Mommy at 21 years old, but she's like, oh, honey, that's so great you got a job. What are you doing? Are you working down at the Foot Locker? Are you down at the Old Mart? I'm cleaning splooge.
Well, like I said, I did not clean up spooge, not once. I was supposed to go monitor the beat-off booths, but I did that once, tell people to close the doors, but I decided, fuck it, I want people to be able to have some kind of refuge. And, if the police aren't going to come bust this place, I don't care. And a lot of people fucked on my watch.
Yeah, literally.
But my lie for my mom, because, she did ask. I said the name of the store was Broadway Books.
Oh.
And this was, my mom's not internet savvy, but this was before the internet was, you could just Google Broadway Books now and be like, oh, okay. But my mom wouldn't do that anyway. She wouldn't know how to turn the computer on. But I told her it was, and this is not a lie, I told her it was a Christian bookstore geared towards black people. So it was like just a bunch of chintzy gifts, like really low-grade chintzy gifts and black gospel hymnals. I was like, you wouldn't care about it. It's deep in the heart of Gary. You don't want to come. And she kept pushing. I think she knew. And well, she did. And she's like, yeah, Grandma and I are going to come up and see you there. Do I have the address right? It's like, oh, fuck. Okay. Either she knows. I eventually, caved and told her. But I said, really, what's the big deal?
What was that conversation like?
Well, my mom is a very conservative, very mainstream kind of Christian lady, or at least was at the time. She's kind of waking up slowly but surely. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back kind of thing these days. But anyway, she once heard an interview by Dr. James Dobson, head of Focus on the Family, and he had interviewed Ted Bundy.
If you don't know who, by the way, James Dobson is, he's actually almost as bad a human being as Ted Bundy. Go on.
Yeah. I'd actually rather spend the evening with Ted Bundy.
Who, for those that don't know, is an actual serial killer that was executed.
Yeah, Ted Bundy was a serial killer. There's a really great band out of Chicago called Macabre. They're a death metal band. They have good songs about Ted Bundy. Anyway, they had an interview on the radio, and Ted Bundy said at some point during the interview, I used to look at a lot of porno, and I really was hoping that the girls I was assaulting would, act like the girls in the pornos and go along with it, and they never would. And so my mom assumed that anyone who looked at porno would turn out to be a rapist. I remember she had heard this interview when I was like maybe 4 or 5. Whenever Ted Bundy, right before they fried him. Upson got a chance to interview him. But, I actually discovered porn at a very young age, 3 years old, at my grandmother's house. And I will say I have grown up with a curiosity to see the vagina quite often. And then,
the thing about I never would say I discovered Time magazine, because it's not really a life-changing experience. But discovered is a correct word, I think, for when you find out about porn.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bunch of Hustler magazines under the floor. We reached into a heater and under the floorboards and found a bunch of Hustlers.
That was like a full-time job as a young kid, just looking for where the porn's hidden.
You're like, I know there's vagina out there. I could see. It's in magazines. How do I get to it?
Well, I remember at a very young age, and maybe you guys did this too. I asked the girls I was babysat with, I'll show you mine if you show me yours, and they did. Actually, I was in that scenario many times as a kid. How about you guys?
Wait, your babysitter or someone you
No, the girls my age that I was being babysat with, like my brother and I were, probably the youngest I did it was 3 or 4, and then pretty much on up until young teenager.
Oh, I was gonna say you had the worst babysitter alive.
Yeah.
Best also, but
I had a babysitter who used to bite my feet. She'd put me in the closet and then come bite my feet 10 minutes later. She'd say she was a monster.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a cunt. But no, the girls I used to get babysat with, we'd play doctor, as they say. You guys did that as kids, didn't you?
No, my parents never left the house. I never had a babysitter.
But you never got with the neighborhood girl. Can I see your pagina?
No, I was playing with Ninja Turtles.
yeah.
Did you ever try to see their butts?
No, I was a very late bloomer, I guess. I was really just trying to beat up Shredder.
So, how did the job end with the porn store? Were they like, you can come back? Do you ever use them as a reference?
I think I might have, I went and worked at an Applebee's down at Ball State, and I think I might have put it on the application, but I focused more on the waitering jobs that hadn't fired me, which were few and far between. Because I worked as a waiter, but I eventually got into the public radio and public TV station, as student jobs, and I didn't have to put them on. No. When the job ended, I had actually, the Mexican dude, his name was Xavier. We called him X. This guy was an asshole. I mean, he was always, when he was stealing hours from the company, he would steal DVDs and cash, and he always had the shittiest cover-up. And whenever he'd explain it to me, he'd totally do this double talk thing where he would no, you're not listening. No, you're not listening to what I'm saying. And yeah. So I'd just be like, whatever. But then when I looked over the records, I actually made copies and sent them to our boss in Chicago and got the guy fired.
Nice.
So that was kind of how I left. And I remember I was afraid that, he was a piece of shit. I was afraid he might come to my house and either vandalize my car or worse.
Yeah, you never know with sketchy people like that.
If I was him, my explanation would be that, yes, I'm stealing, but I don't steal a lot. Are you going to find a better, more upstanding citizen to manage your porn store?
I could have been that person had enough. But you know what? Actually, 2.5 weeks after I left the job, the place got robbed. And it probably would have been a shift I would have been working had I still been working there. But I was down in college.
Well,
That's good.
Yeah, you won that transaction.
What did you get paid per hour there?
I remember minimum wage in Indiana at the time was, I think, around $7 an hour, and this was like $9.50.
Oh, pretty good deal.
That's really good for
But
back
as a
then.
waiter, I would usually make between 10 and 15 an hour, minimum.
I was making like $5.50 at Sam Goody at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
Was Sam Goody still open? They closed down a long time ago, I thought.
Yeah, that was like the year before they closed. It's amazing that a place that would charge $17 for one CD would lose a lot of business.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the one thing that, because you'd buy a CD for that one song you liked, and you find out that band sucked, and they released one good song in their lives.
Yep.
Space Hog.
Yeah.
Spin
in the meantime.
Doctors,
Yep, exactly.
Smash Mouth.
Oh, I hate them.
It'd be
Everyone
like
was
17 fucking bucks. And then like when the industry started getting destroyed by like the online downloading, you're like, yeah, they deserve that. So I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that was when the groups would like caught on that all they needed to do was make that one radio song because like Smash Mouth was a punk band, but they came out with that "Walking on the Sun" song,
Yeah, that was an
Yeah.
alright song actually.
and then Sugar Ray.
All Star, fucking All Star. Ugh.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray had the song Fly. The rest of the album was the shittiest metal you ever hear in your life, but you didn't know that.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a heavy metal band, and they like shaved and like you got nice haircuts for the video, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is a nice band." And then, yeah, the album's not quite like that. So
It's one of those things they always said, like, they're like, I don't understand what's wrong with the youth today. They have no problem stealing online from all these songs. And you're like, yeah, you know who doesn't have a problem stealing either? The record companies. We're kind of fine with it this way also.
yeah, I mean that was blatant like misrepresentation on their part.
Did you guys hear the band Crazy Town back when they had their one hit?
I
Come,
actually,
come, my lady.
I worked
Oh
at a
my
radio
God.
station, and I got free tickets to like every show, and I actually had Crazy Town tickets, and me and this other guy were making fun of this guy outside the place because he was really weird looking, and then that guy put on a guitar and got on stage, and it was the guy from Crazy Town.
And then he had sex with every hot girl in the audience. You're like,
Exactly.
and 10 years later, I got a pizza from him, and he told me all the stories about fucking those girls.
About how he just remade a Chili Peppers song and made $1 billion.
Yeah, I think he probably did well. I saw that in like a couple of movies also. He did really well
Yeah.
from that one song.
Yeah, total Chili Peppers ripoff.
Yeah, you know what? You only called it a ripoff because you couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty blatant.
Yeah, I know, but they got away with it, so they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
They performed in Chicago pretty much when that song had its run. People were tired of it, and I just remember as soon as the first couple notes came on, I'm out of fucking key, but the first notes of the,
That wasn't even close.
and the whole crowd just started booing, and they actually didn't even finish the song. And then later in that show, Fuel played. You guys remember the band Fuel?
Shimmer.
Yep.
I don't remember the song names. I just remember I hated them. But me and 4 of my friends stood on the hillside. This was at the World Music Center, as it used to be called in Chicago. I think it's called the Tweeter Center, something even gayer now.
Mm-hmm.
But we just said, Fuel sucks. And they heard us, and they got pissed. The lead singer actually cut off the next song and said, let me tell you something. It's really fucking bullshit when you travel around like we're doing, and you got to come hear some punk ass like that guy.
Nice.
And then later on, they were like, "So you cut off the show because of those guys booing?" No, we were just out of songs.
Yeah. No, we have one song on our album. The rest was filler.
Yeah.
Yeah, check this out. Crazy Town. You got that?
Wow, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the Red Hot Chili Pepper song?
That was right here. Wait, nope, it's this song. Sorry. It's coming. Crazy Town was listening to this. And in 5 seconds comes their $1 million hit. Here it comes. Where'd it go?
Yeah, I don't really hear it. And is there a chance that they...
Here it is. Here it is.
Maybe they just paid the Chili Peppers.
You hear that?
Yeah, I hear that.
Same exact background. That's the same exact song.
Well, the Chili Peppers weren't smart enough to say, "Come, come, my lady, be my butterfly."
Sugar, baby.
Sugar baby.
That's the difference between a B-side and a $10 million song, apparently.
Yeah, and the thing is, they probably paid the Chili Peppers, and they probably all very happy at the end.
I don't think they paid the Chili Peppers for that.
Well, the Chili Peppers got $1 billion from
all their other songs.
I mean, they probably just made $1 billion from that Point Break alone. So
Yeah, they probably made $1 billion just putting light bulbs on their head and socks over their penises.
Very true.
That alone netted them that amount of money.
Yeah, that's true. Where were we? We kind of got derailed.
Whitney Houston's dead.
Oh yeah, Whitney Houston's still
Houston's dead. I keep getting those stupid alerts about the Republican candidates, like, ooh, Mitt Romney edges out Gingrich. Gingrich goes on the attack. Who fucking cares?
I bet
Are you guys as frustrated with that as I
But
am?
none of those people are qualified to manage the porn store.
These are like the most evil men on the planet, and they're all they're going to be in the final two for running this entire country. It's a little scary.
My favorite criticism, and this is Republicans or Democrats, when they criticize their opponent by saying he's an elitist, he's elite. I'm like, elite? How do people run for president every year? It's always the richest fuckers around. They're always the most elite. Like, I don't have any friends that ran for president. It's the elitist people you can find.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I only have $4 billion. That guy's got $9 billion. He's elitist.
Yeah,
I'll bet you $10,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a complete sham, and that's why I really get tired of even following national politics. I mean, there's a lot that you can do in your local community if you really want to make a difference. And
are you
the national
are you an after school special now?
What's that?
There's a lot you can do in your community. You can make a difference.
Well,
the more you know, NBC.
That's what I do. That's what I try to do here in Corvallis, and Corvallis is actually a really cool place. But when I go back to visit the Midwest, Northwest Indiana, which I think I've gone back 2 or 3 times now in the 7 years I've lived in Oregon, it's a mess, man. There's a Starbucks on one side of the street, and then a bunch of doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, banks, and tons of traffic and nothing to do, and people are focused on bullshit. And it's really sad because it seems that we saw a little bit of a resurgence with the Occupy movement, which is kind of, I don't know where you could really say it's at now. I mean, you guys are in New York. Where would you say the Occupy movement is?
It's being blacked out by the media. They refuse to even acknowledge it's happening, hoping that it goes away.
Because they did that at the beginning, and they ignored it for a whole month.
They've been ignoring it since it started in September.
It got some. Well, I guess if I follow Facebook. I don't even watch the mainstream BS, but
Facebook's where you get real news. Go on.
No, if you subscribe to various...
I found out that Melissa is having a rough morning on Facebook. It was the national news will not cover that.
No, what I'm talking about though, I mean, if you like, there's several news groups like Al Jazeera, Think Progress, Democracy Now, The Guardian, or BBC. And that's usually where like my news feed will come in the morning, and I guess I am part of the rift that I do tend towards the progressive media for my information, but that's only because you guys can understand this. You can't trust the garbage that comes from the mainstream press.
To be fair, I don't like those sites. Never really tell me much about what the Kardashians are doing, so I don't think they really cover everything. It's not a fair and balanced report.
Are you a Kardashian fan?
I don't think it would be possible. I shoot myself before becoming a fan of that. My wife actually watches that stuff, which is so unbelievable.
See, I know nothing about her except for the porno video I've seen of her. That's it.
That's how she made her career. That made her famous, and
I'll skip all the reality shows.
Actually, I came out one morning and my wife she'd gotten my son in the morning, and she was watching a Kardashians take whatever, with my son who was like the pacifier in his mouth, and I was like, this is child abuse.
Yeah.
So you were going on a rant about mainstream media?
Oh, I don't know. My rage meters are so shot. They were during the Bush years. But weren't we going to talk about
Valentine's
Day? It's a really good, just to go aside, it's a really good book I'm reading right now. You ever read The People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn?
I'm aware of it, and I've read sections of it. My wife has read it.
It's awesome. It's really good.
That's what I've heard. Howard Zinn just died in the last year or two.
Really sad because he's a phenomenal figure. But it's like I'm about halfway done with it. It's really, really good. I think every like student in America should read that book. It's all for those people that don't know. It was in Good Will Hunting when Matt Damon's character is like going through Robin Williams' like books. He says to him, "Oh, you know what you should read? You should read for a good history of the United States. You should read People's History of the United States." by Howard. That's how I heard about the book in the first place. And it's all about all the people who've got shitted on in the history of the United States, their stories. So basically the American Indians, women, slaves, because everyone was not a white Christian male.
Yeah. I think those people who claim they were Christian, if they truly were Christian, they would be on the forefronts of the environmental movement. They would be living such a shining example that, no one could deny they've got something special on their side. But instead, you've got people like George W. Bush and Sarah Palin and the Christian right, James Dobson. And I've gotten farther and farther away from that whole thing. I was raised in a Christian home. Well, quote, unquote Christian.
It shocks me you can find hypocrisy in religion in so closely associated.
Imagine that.
Not to kill the top this. Let's go back to some of the topics we have planned for today.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. What do you guys got planned for Valentine's Day?
Nothing.
Awesome. My wife and I actually already did our thing. We make lobster at dinner. It was nice.
You did that already?
We did it. Well, we didn't know what else we could have time to actually do it with our son. So around. So Saturday it was just seemed like a good time. So we bought them and made them and did it last night.
Do you throw them in alive?
I don't throw them in dead. They come out tasty when you throw them in live.
Yeah, you can taste the fear.
It's kind of weird because you watch you throw it in the boiling pot and the tail moves a little bit and then the tail stops moving.
Yeah, I don't think I would be able to do that.
Anything I eat though, anything I was alive. I definitely eat meat, and so at least I'm there for the slaughter. So.
Yeah, well, we'll probably have a nice dinner here at home. It's just, we're so routine at this point, and every day is kind of like a crazy adventure. That's kind of how it is when you're self-employed. But we'll probably have a really nice dinner. We actually have bought a lot of great food lately and some elk meat. Nice. There's actually a store right here that sells alligator meat, and I really want to try that.
I've had alligator once.
How was it?
How was it?
It was at a Chinese place, and it was General Chow's alligator.
Uh-huh.
And you could pretty much put anything in the General Chow sauce, and it's awesome.
Wait, General Chow's or General So's?
So's, however you pronounce it.
TSO.
Yeah,
So.
I pronounced it like a white guy. Yeah, but you could have
Yes, you
General
do.
So's sock, and it'll taste awesome. So, I guess I can't really. It was good, but I don't really know if it was any different from the chicken.
Do you think General So was a great general?
I wondered that myself when I eat his chicken.
Yeah, I bet he was just a farmhand.
I will lead the Chinese people to the tastiest victory ever. What do you do, by the way? You're self-employed.
Well, I run a bicycle taxi service. I run Corvallis's only sustainable taxi service, and I'm thinking of actually starting a motor cab because I get tons of calls, people thinking I'm a motor cab.
Like a tuk-tuk?
Yeah, if we were in Thailand, that's what you might call it, or I call it a pedicab or a rickshaw.
I have a website where I devoted to my first year of my son's life, and the most common random search to find my website. Every day we find some people looking for why do you call your son Tuk Tuk? Mm-hmm. And we did it. You can read it on the site. It's newdaddyhood.wordpress.com. But when we were in Thailand, I joked that we should call our son Tuk Tuk. We had our first child, and that joke lasted for 3 years before we had our kid.
I hear that quite a bit. A lot of people in this area are very well traveled, and it's a university town. A lot of international students, and I hear a lot of people. Oh yeah, in Thailand they call these tuk tuks.
You should call them tuk tuks. And probably people will be like, oh, that's cool because it's a tuk tuk. It's not just a pedicab.
Yeah, I call it the name of my business is Corvallis Pedicab, and there are times I almost wish I'd called it Corvallis Bicycle Taxi or Corvallis Rickshaw, because a lot of people say rickshaw, even though technically a rickshaw is one where you're on foot pulling like a wheelbarrow fat ass behind you.
You should do that. Do rickshaws and employ slaves.
Oh, hell with that. Pedicab, I have a single speed pedicab, and that's hard enough to pull, especially if you're taking people up hills, but I've got another bike with gears, and it's growing. Most of my money for that comes for advertising. I have ad space on the sides, front and back.
Oh,
And I usually just work big events. I mean, I'm not out like a regular taxi. I actually do a lot of different stuff. I mean, between the pedicab and started doing stand-up comedy shows here in town, which pay a little bit. I actually organize and promote the shows, so I take a little bit of a higher percentage, but pay the other comics, and that's going all right.
and I also resell porn I find in the woods. You'd be surprised how good that market is.
No, that's a charity offering of mine. That's completely on the house, baby.
We're providing vintage porn to old people.
But I also do. We have chickens. We have about 45 chickens, and we sell the eggs. And a lot of people. I've got a lot of local.
Are you Jamaican, by the way?
What's that?
Are you Jamaican?
No, I'm white, Native American, and many other things. But I look like a white guy. I look Irish with my. Actually, people ask me if I'm Amish all the time when I've got my beard long.
What part Native American are you?
Very small amount. That's the only non-white. Well, I'm part Native American. Here's the rundown: Native American, Mexican, Irish, English, Scottish, Dutch, German.
You could have just told me what you're not. That would have been actually shorter.
What's up?
You could have just said what I'm not. You should have like, I'm
Yeah.
not Chinese. Everything else.
Right. I don't know if you guys have seen that recent episode of South Park where the white guy was talking about Native American rights, and he was like, "I am 1/16 Cherokee," and he was just this big activist for Native American rights. I mean, that I had to have a laugh. I get down on the white man once in a while because white people piss me off.
I kind of think of this is actually I thought I had when I was reading that book, The People's History, and like in all those movies where the aliens like invade Earth and their goal, like Independence Day, the goal is to wipe out mankind, and eventually the people of Earth always win. But I kind of think of that. What happens in those movies or those science fiction things is what actually happened to Native Americans. They're just kind of like singing along, hanging out, having a good life. These people they never even dreamed existed just came there one day and basically wiped out their civilization.
Yeah, it's screwed, man, and that just scratches the surface of our history, and we got to acknowledge it if we're going to move forward.
We really should.
I get tired of hearing that, oh, progressives and liberals are the hate America first crowd. Bullshit. I heard a really good analogy once that, liberals love America like an adult loves their parent. You realize we got to keep mama in line. Something's wrong. Mama needs some help. Whereas conservatives or Republicans or whatever you want to call them love America like a child loves their mother, where it's like, don't you talk bad about my mom. And I think that's a great analogy. I mean, you hear people that don't want to hear anything about, especially some of these privileged white people that I grew up with. They don't want to hear a damn thing about, the past darkness of the white race. And nobody's blameless. I mean, I'm, not putting all the blame on white people, but we've got a lot to address here, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hypocritical that we celebrate Thanksgiving.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bill
we just,
Maher
we just have a big potluck full of hippies. No one wears any deodorant. No one shaves. It's great.
Actually, Columbus Day is even worse to celebrate.
Well, I was gonna say Bill Maher has the best line about Thanksgiving. I think it's something along the lines of, it's like celebrating the dinner from the date rape. Can't we just talk about that dinner? The dinner was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Columbus is. I mean, Columbus if you look at the truth, he helped commit genocide and he was a slave trader and he's a person of the times, I guess, but he was not a good human being at all.
No, he was like a liar, a thief. Partly responsible for a genocide and an all-around terrible human being. But he gives us a day off, so I guess that's one plus in his column.
I don't care if you trade slaves. If I get the Monday off, I'm happy.
We are running long, so we're going to play our ads. Oh, no, they stopped playing ours, so we're not.
This is the thing. You guys had that one episode called Epic where it was like almost 3 hours.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of schedule you run on, but God damn it, this is a good time, and I would love to see if the show could run longer than an hour. But, of course, it's your call, Jay.
We can go to our top 5 and stuff.
Why don't we go to our stories?
What was the top 5? I don't remember what the and then the epic one.
Top five. Well,
No. What was the epic one? I don't remember. Was I on that, Jay?
I think Peter was on that one, and I think we basically drank a liter of whiskey, and the show just went on forever.
I think it was episode 99, if I'm not mistaken.
Are you our biggest fan?
I could be. I mean, I actually, I like a lot of different stuff. I'm kind of one of those people who goes through obsessions.
Sounds good
So
to
it's
us.
like I get to. Well, I'm not obsessed with you guys by any means. I mean, like I think I was very honest with Jay in my initial email that hey, you guys are kind of like hanging out with friends. It's kind of like a step or two above college radio. It's not terribly polished, but I don't think you're going for that. I think that's
We're not polished, really.
well.
You just shattered my whole world.
But it's interesting stuff, and I really do like it. I subscribe to about maybe 8 podcasts. There's you guys. There's Bill Maher. Wait, Don't Tell Me. This American Life. 5 Decisions Away with Matt Paxton, the dude from Hoarders. The Moth, which is a bunch of storytelling, usually pretty short podcasts. I used to like Adam Carolla, but too many right-wing rants and.
Is he a
I'm so
right wing?
sick of-
Is he a right wing guy?
Adam Carolla, the guy from Loveline, kind of the wise ass.
Yeah. I didn't know he was I didn't know he was a political
show.
guy at all.
If you listen to him, I mean, when he gets going on politics, he's pretty right wing, but it's because he's wealthy and he doesn't want anybody to touch his money. And
Yeah, that's what happens when you amass like $100 million. I forget what comedian he said. I'm a Democrat, but I hope to be a Republican someday.
he's definitely that kind of person. And I have a lot of friends who said, "Well, if I had $100 million, I'd be a Republican." Not me, dude. My soul is not for sale.
Yep.
If anyone wants to give me $50 million, you can have my soul. I'll take half.
But think of all the good things you could do with that $50 million. You could do anything from healthcare for an entire poor community to, whatever it is your passion is. I mean, I would personally do something with getting a bicycle job infrastructure set up here.
Mitch Hedberg has the best line. I can't even do it justice. You know who Mitch Hedberg is, the comedian?
Yeah, of course.
Great one-liners. And he's like, he was talking about, I think he was getting a piece of pizza. And he was talking about, it was the smallest possible slice of pizza. He was like, it was a slice of pizza that's kind of like when they had the infographic, the pie about what people would do when they had $1 million. I had the piece that's associated with give money to charity.
Stories. We each had some stories, right?
Yeah. So why don't we give it to our guest first? What story do you have to tell us?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we've got kind of a comedy scene starting up here in Corvallis. And the other night, we had a lineup of all Corvallis comics. And one of the people, we were actually out on the OSU campus promoting the show. And it was me, another male comic, Steven. He was dressed in a kind of like a German, and he had a pipe doing the accent. It was great. And I was dressed as a beer bottle. And I was holding up a sign that said stand-up comedy tonight and gave the location. And then this gal who's very tiny, very brittle and weak and black under her eyes. She's an anorexic. And I didn't know she was also bulimic. And I invited her to come to my place. I said, we've got a whole bunch of food because we've got tons of food here.
Wait, but how can you be anorexic and bulimic?
Well, I mean,
is she an overachiever?
I'm not sure. She's a good rider, and she's got great ideas, and she's got a good soul, But I've never known anybody who's an anorexic. Not like this. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I really want to help her, and I'm not going to give her name.
So you offered her
not like the funny kind of like I wish all girls were anorexics, but like this is like serious problem.
It's definitely, absolutely.
Like you could see the vertebrae of her spine and her back.
Yeah, like when we first got to the house, so I took her to my house where, and my wife is here fixing a great dinner. My wife celebrates the Sabbath, so she does quite a dinner. We got here, my dog Buster, who's a golden retriever, and he's a very loving dog, but he's strong and big bonehead. Came and jumped at her, and she was just like, "Oh, ow, ow," because he had like jumped and clipped her hip somehow, and she's extra weak, So I had to take care of that. And she had to go to the restroom really bad. So she came in here, took care of that. And the reason
I have a question. I have a question for you. Are we going to actually kill ourselves at the end of this story? This sounds like a really sad story so far.
Well, I don't know. I mean, make of it what you will. I'm still processing it. And that's 2 days later, 2 days later, and I'm still feeling the darkness.
I want to see where this is going.
So,
Okay.
anyways, the idea.
Did she have sex with your dog?
No.
Okay, go on.
So, the idea of her coming over here was that she would, help me write some jokes. I would help her write some. And I really wanted to give her a good dinner. I didn't know she was bulimic. And I thought, this poor girl, she probably has no food in her house. She needs a good meal. So came here and her eyes widened. I opened up my fridge and I said, "You're welcome to take whatever you'd like." And she stared at the food in my fridge and what my wife had on the stove and said, "Oh my gosh, you have such wonderful food. Such wonderful food." And I almost started crying because it's like, this poor girl gets to eat. And she filled up her plate full of, chicken and potatoes and greens. I gave her some organic kimchi that I just got from our co-op. She filled up with some green goodness, which is like a green juice of many different veggies and fruits. And she started to eat at the table. And my son, 2 years old, he heard earlier, he came around and was, he's a very cheerful, talkative boy, and completely freaked her out somehow. She started having like an anxiety attack and ran to the restroom and threw up. And my wife kind of knew what was going on, and I'm kind of like my mom in this sense, I suppose, because I just wanted to deny it was happening. I thought, oh, she's just coughing. Sounds like something my mom would say. But anyway, she came out of the bathroom and gobbled up the plate. I mean, I was just having some soup and a beer. I wanted to get nice and buzzed for the comedy show. But she ate this huge plate and then disappeared into the bathroom again, and then had this anxiety attack when she came out and my son was in the kitchen. He was just sitting there, and she looked away and then started crying and like stamping her feet. And I was like, okay, let's go into the living room. She's like, "Can I please just get some cereal?" Like, okay. So she opens up a new box of cereal. It's kind of like an organic version of Lucky Charms. It's called Mallow Oats or something like that. And I didn't even realize it until the next day, but she ate like, 5/6 of the bag. She ate most of this whole box of cereal. And she went into the bathroom 2 times and threw up.
Jesus.
And my wife was pissed, because she takes pride in her cooking, as she should. Mm-hmm. One of the best cooks you can imagine. She's from Peru. She knows her shit. And she eventually said, "Get her out of here." And about an hour before the planned timing, we wrote some more comedy material. And she had some great ideas and stuff, but she was actually like also putting her like a diet supplement powder on her every bite she would take. Like, I guess one of those diet supplements where you're only supposed to put 1 sprinkle on per meal. Mm-hmm. She's putting one on every scoop of food and going to throw it up. And I don't know what to do. I mean, I've known a lot of fucked up, dysfunctional people in my life, and most of them are beyond help. Or it really boils down to the individual to pull your own shit up. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know what to do. It was bumming me out when I had a lot to drink at the comedy show. It actually went pretty well. But afterwards, I was sitting on the bench with some pals, and it just really was bothering me.
Yeah, I think that would bother me too. I don't know what to say about that.
About it, Mark? What do you say?
So, do you think she was bulimic?
Absolutely, dude.
I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's a really depressing story. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty awful. I don't really know. You try to get her on A&A, do intervention. I think you have to find people that actually know her well and talk to them, and the people that know her well can really do something. People that don't really know her too well probably can't do that much.
Yeah, that's good advice.
If any sort of comedy scene really starts to develop here, I mean, she performed. She did okay. She pretty much just read off a piece of paper, and it kind of sounded like a poem recital or something. It was her first time doing stand-up, and this shows you how funny she is. She gave me permission. This was her idea for her introduction. Tonight is her first night doing stand-up. Actually, as far as we know, it might be her first time standing up. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome blah, blah, blah. I thought that was hilarious. And you look at her, she's pale, black circles under her eyes, skinny, straw-like legs, tiny little frail arms. I mean, the first time I ever saw her, it's like, oh my gosh, what is up with her? She's got to be anorexic or just like a total premature baby. And
they never, she's just still, they never, solved anything. She's born premature? We're just going to keep her premature.
Yeah, we screw the incubator.
Yeah, maybe she should talk about being bulimic on stage.
She actually did make a few references, I guess.
She should be like, I threw up chicken cobbler last night, and then I had cereal I threw up last night, and you know what? The Happy Meal's not so happy on the way back up.
I used to have a coworker at the radio station. She was one of these people who just needed to gossip. So she'd tell even me, we didn't get along, but she would tell me her intimate family details, including her daughter, who actually was decent looking, but knowing what kind of person she was one of those girls who, who she is makes her ugly.
Mm-hmm.
But she was 20 years old, really thin, blonde, kind of supermodel-like in appearance. But she used to puke into Ziploc bags, and she would store them under the bathroom sink and freak out if her mom wanted to throw them away because that was part of her that was being thrown away.
Okay, that's just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That's lock you up insane.
And that's why you don't drink when you're pregnant.
Did she save bowel movements and?
She didn't. I'm sure Pam would have mentioned that, but she never mentioned anything about bowel movements, just puke.
If I ever have a kid that's that crazy, I'm probably not going to mention that to coworkers.
I wouldn't either, especially considering, we did not get along.
Could they?
I was a radio announcer and producer, and she was just an part-time office assistant, and she just always had this need to create drama. She'd yell about, shit left in the sink when it was the boss who was doing it, but she'd blame me.
I was going to say, those kinds of things, those are real problems that people have, and people have some of them freaking out problems. Basically, it's not I'm sure there's a lot of people that have weirder issues. I'd love to see that asked in the presidential debate. The next question we have from the audience comes to Mitt Romney. My daughter pukes and stores the puke in a Ziploc bag under the sink.
If elected president, what would you do?
Yeah. I'm not going to run anymore. I can't handle this. I have to deal with.
That would be a great question.
If they had to deal with the real problems people have.
Did you guys ever see that awful video with that poor kid who was 4 or 5 years old, and I guess their lesbian mom had forced him to say something to Michelle Bachmann? Sure, you could probably pull it
I know
up.
what you're talking about, but I didn't see it.
I'm all for the sentiment of what that was about, but come on, don't use your kid as a pawn. That kid didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Said something about my mom is not evil because she's gay. So uncomfortable, and I just felt so bad. I'm a pretty staunch environmentalist, I guess you could say, by label. But I'm not going to make my kids stand out with a gas mask and a sign, in front of the Capitol. Your fumes are poisoning me, even though it's true. I wouldn't do that. That's lame.
Yeah, no, that is kind of cheesy.
The next question is for Rick Santorum. It comes from an 8-year-old boy. My daddy makes me wear a gas mask outside the Capitol to protest. How do we get rid of my daddy?
Yeah. You want to turn your kid into a Santorum fan, you take him out to a protest and make him wear a gas mask.
Rick Santorum, this is in his book. I didn't read the book. I read it from online. I don't know if this is 100% from his book. I never read the actual book. But apparently they have a couple children, and one child was stillborn. So he's dead on arrival.
Yep.
They took that child, the stillborn, home and slept with it that night, and introduced the stillborn to their. They introduced the stillborn to the other kids as this is your brother.
Is that true?
You
That's
Google
what
it.
they said.
Rick Santorum claims to have slept with his stillborn baby. Him and his wife slept with that baby.
Well, they should have their kids taken away because that's messed up.
I
don't remember
kid
hearing
you not.
I don't remember hearing that part. I kind of briefly just followed it. It's like, oh gosh, yet another nutty thing from Rick Santorum. But what I heard was that his kids had played with it.
Oh,
we should look that up. I can look that up
right here. I'm going to send you an article. Says Eugene Robinson, who's a political guy. Rick Santorum's stillborn baby story is very weird.
Oh my God! I just Googled Santorum and look what I found.
Oh yeah, you can't Google. You have to Google Rick Santorum. You can't Google. You have to.
I actually, in my stand-up act, I have a joke about that. I mean, for those of you who don't know, if you Google Santorum, Dan Savage has a link that it goes to. It. What's the exact definition? I should quickly look that up rather than paraphrase it.
Something about eating shit.
Of course, the definition of Santorum: the frothy mix of lube and fecal matter that is sometimes the byproduct of anal sex, also known as Senator Rick Santorum.
Of course, you're kind of like. I mean, I wouldn't really associate. I mean, I just think much more highly of the frothy matter than Rick Santorum.
I do too, personally. But anyway, I have a joke in my act that I say, have you guys ever Googled Santorum? Oh my gosh. It's the grossest thing you'll see all day. Try it out. Google Santorum. You'll come across the Rick Santorum for President website. Read his views. It's the grossest thing you'll see all day.
Yeah, I just think how does it how is every question just like, wait a second, we have another question from the CNN commentator. Did you really sleep with that dead baby? You're saying, okay, you did it. Okay. Next question. But really, you slept with the dead baby? Are you fucking kidding me?
Every question.
Every question.
It's like 2 hours of that.
We have another question from the audience. Did you really fucking sleep with that dead baby?
And you showed it to your kids.
You're like, another question. Why didn't your other kids call the police on you?
Well, you'd have to have at least one person in the audience and ask a question. I just Googled your name, and I am very offended, sir. Frothy fecal matter, what's this? That's not family values.
The stillborn baby story is actually grosser than the frothy matter.
My understanding is that you're not allowed to take corpses out of the hospital. Maybe I've misunderstood our whole healthcare system, but I'm pretty sure that's not allowed.
I love that.
I know that our hospital was supposed to store the placenta for us, but we were a day late. They stored it for only a week. Damn it.
I just think that's the funniest thing I've ever heard. I love that. My understanding is the hospitals don't let you bring dead corpses with you.
It's not like a doggy bag. Like, that stays in the hospital.
I think they actually do, though, is the thing.
Do they?
It might be a state to state kind of thing, but
Do you have to be related to the dead body, or can you take any dead body home with you?
Especially in Rick Santorum's case, I'm sure he had some. Well, it's for religious purposes.
Like if Grandpa dies in the hospital, you're not allowed to just put him over your shoulder and bring him home.
You take him out on a stretcher, damn it.
You're like, we can roll him out in the stretcher. Oh, I got it. I can just do the whole fireman carry. Just throw him over the shoulder. I got him.
He's light. He hasn't been eating lately.
Yeah, I mean, he's dead. I mean, it's not gonna if he hits his head on the low ceilings, what's the big deal?
Yeah, I don't know how he got away with that. Did he just grab it and run?
It was like, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Santorum. This is really horrendous, but your baby dead. I'm really sorry. Can we still take it home?
The kids need something to play with tonight.
Yeah.
We already have the crib and everything set up. Do you think we could get some pictures at least?
This has probably been the most morbid show we've ever done.
Sir, are you deranged? we just want to bring our baby home. Your baby's dead. We understand that. We're going to stuff him and bring him home and put him on the wall.
We're going to put him next to the deer's head on the wall.
Oh, my God.
Or just put him next to Rick Santorum's picture. That's pretty morbid.
You know, like there's certain moments in life where like you could be the fly in the wall in the sea, like in the history of time, and people might say like you want to see like what really, I don't know, like Marilyn Monroe naked, like her prime, or see
the JFK assassination.
JFK assassination. I want to see Rick Santorum ask the hospital if he can bring his dead baby home.
Well, you could easily get Jerry Seinfeld the way he's looking now. You could get him to play the part of Rick Santorum. They're like identical. Have you seen a recent picture of Seinfeld?
Yeah.
He looks like Rick Santorum.
I don't know. And Santorum actually could be funnier these days because the shit he says.
You need to tell him, we take you very seriously, sir. Please preach the truth. You got to fuel him with that, because if you tell him it's comedic, he'll be like, well, I'm not joking.
You ever notice how these chicks these days are getting abortions and using contraception? You ever notice?
And what's the deal with people who don't take their fetuses home from the hospital?
What's the deal with these gay people who don't really bother me and want to get married and have happy lives? What's the deal with that? Let's kill them.
Man, that would, are you guys familiar with Dan Savage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, who is he again?
He does the Hardcore History podcast.
I thought it was called the Savage Love Cast. I don't subscribe to it. I just heard it once or twice. He's a sex columnist. He's in a lot of different, alternative weeklies and stuff, and he's got his own website and podcast. He's very well known. He does speaking engagements. I guess he spearheaded the It Gets Better project for young gay students and individuals, basically, don't let any of this torment that you're going through as a child bother you, because when you're an adult, being gay is just fine. It's kind of the message. But yeah, Dan Savage, great guy. He's the one who came up with the Google Santorum. He's the one who made that happen. The frothy mix of fecal matter and lube, that's Dan Savage. So it would be interesting to get his take on, maybe have him write some comedy for Rick Santorum.
By the way, just to throw out also just the, what if the baby died, like the baby's born and his grandfather died in the hospital also? We'll take the dead baby. Oh, okay. Well, we'll wheel out your grandfather also. I don't really need him. You can keep my dead grandfather. We'll just take the dead baby. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what. I'd like to see Dan Savage get to just ask question after question to Rick Santorum. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun debate.
It's so absurd how much time is given to the Republican debates. It really keeps the bullshit on the plate. We're at a time where we should be moving forward as a country, and instead we're constantly, barraged with nonsense the Tea Party has to say, or, old people on Medicare, keep your socialism off my Medicare.
Yeah, that whole thing is insane.
It's Rick Santorum. Why do we have to hear his ideas blasted at us?
Yeah, Rick Santorum. Can we deal with honest, tough, important issues? I hear people are stealing dead bodies from hospitals.
He's the only candidate who brought blah plives to the table.
I'm sorry? You
guys don't know what I'm talking about? He had that quote about, actually, I should probably just pull it up on YouTube here really quick. Santorum claimed, he was talking about, welfare programs and how he doesn't want people's money being wasted. Now, whether or not he said black people's lives.
Yeah. Black. He was like, I don't want black people use welfare.
It is questionable whether or not he said, he said black people's lives is what it sounded like, but maybe he did say, I don't want to make people's lives easier. That's possible. I honestly thought that when I first saw the video, but the way he tried to backtrack on it, he said, well, I didn't say black people, I said blah people. And then later he said, I didn't say people's lives, I said plives. lives. This is the clip from what I'm talking about.
Yeah, please play the clip.
I don't think we're gonna hear.
What you have to send the clip
Here
to.
it comes.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna hear it. I think you have to send me the link.
I was talking to someone who works for the
Can you hear it?
Public Welfare here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me that the state of Iowa is going to get fined if they don't sign up more people under the Medicaid program. They're just pushing harder and harder to get more and more of you dependent upon them so they can get your vote. That's what the bottom line is. I don't want to make blind people's lives better by giving them somebody else's money.
That was clearly black people's lives.
To be fair, I'm more certain he said black people than I am certain about the law of gravity.
Yeah.
Let me play it again because, he says, oh, I was just, I had kind of a brain fart and said blah, not black, but
upon them so they can get your vote. That's what the bottom line is. I don't want to make blind people's lives better by giving them somebody else's money.
To be fair, the discussion later on with his people are like, you know that's really racist. You said black people are all on welfare, and he's like, yeah, why is that racist?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just really wish that attention wasn't being paid to this stuff, and here we are talking all about it. I mean, it is kind of a tragic clown orgy.
I mean, do you know how many people have listened to our show and heard about how he slept with his dead baby and that he doesn't like black people, and now we're going to go vote for him?
We changed something today, guys. We accomplished something for democracy.
We made this country better.
It all starts by going on the brink of sanity.
So, Rick Santorum, if you're listening, I assume you are. If you want to do our show and discuss why you slept with your dead baby and black people on welfare, please call in.
If you're short on time, just explain how you got the baby out of the hospital. Did you just put down a newspaper over it and then pick up the newspaper with the baby in it?
I actually just want to know how much it costs for the movie rights to that scenario.
I actually want to know about Rick Santorum's first time, and I want an honest story. Was it with a man or woman? What happened?
A corpse.
Dead baby.
I picture it was with a guy. I honestly do.
Wouldn't be shocked.
I have this creepy friend here in Corvallis. He's not really a friend, but this creepy person I know in Corvallis. And he describes his first time ever. I know he's not lying because he told me the story at least 4 times. Oh, when I lost my virginity, it was to my boyfriend when I was 13. And this dude's not, I didn't know he was gay to begin with, but he's icky and fat. And yeah, that's his story.
So the most shocking part about that story is that he got laid.
Yeah. The most shocking part is actually he's told you that as he's showing you the video.
But yeah, I imagine Rick Santorum's first time was something similar to that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think he definitely had sex with that 13-year-old boy in your town.
That's who he was talking about, Rick Santorum.
And as he did, he said, "I one day will be a presidential candidate that will be laughed about."
Let's see. I think we got time for one more story. Mark, you want to go over yours?
Sure. My story is different.
Wait, it's not the most depressing story of all time.
Why don't we can save my story till next show, I guess.
Are you really that concerned with time? You're a podcast, for crying out loud.
Well, I'm just concerned about bedtime.
Yeah, it's late over here.
The party's just getting started here in Oregon. It's 7:12.
Yeah.
We will do a show again soon, and we'll go over these stories and more. But we don't want to go on for the rest of the night because I got to sleep. Got to wake up for work.
Are we doing the top 5 or anything?
We could pump out the top 5 real quick.
Yeah, it's the top 5, and then we'll call it. That'll be the end of the show. Okay, so we did the top 5 worst ways to spend a day with your wife or a girlfriend. My guess is we're probably gonna have similar ones, but maybe we won't.
Now, is this things we have done before, or?
The best part of our show is we come up with top 5s ahead of time, we never try to like make sure we're on the same page.
I know.
And then we start the show and we find out like we have completely different ideas about this.
I also thought it was things, not like an entire day.
Oh, I don't know. Just do whatever you want to talk about. If you want to talk about your top 5 favorite movies, and I'll talk about 5 things I do with my wife that I don't like, that's fine with me.
The top 5 is just we list 5 things that we feel like listing.
It's 5 random things. I'm like, oh, you know what? I hate spending a day at Bloomingdale's with my wife. Spending a day shopping, it's awful. And like she runs into her friends shopping. They have to both of them. They try on stuff, and Jay's like, Garfield. That was my favorite comic growing up.
Okay, so
you guys.
I guess we'll just try and fit our top 5s together.
Okay. Well, so that was one of mine. So something that happened last weekend. On the day of the Super Bowl, no less. We were running an errand. My wife wanted to stop in a store. She ran to her friend in the store, and I had to spend like 40 minutes while I tried on stuff in a store, like a clothing store, which there's nothing worse, I think, in the world than spending time in a clothing store shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I picture basically Gitmo is just a bunch of like Afghanis and Iraqis shopping for stuff.
Yeah, I don't even like buying clothes.
I hate it. Yeah. So what else is a terrible way to spend, or you have spent with your wife or girlfriend?
Well, my first one was the same one. It's like, we're only going if you know what you want. It's like, yeah, no, I know exactly. I'm just gonna run in, pull it off the shelf, and that's it. And like an hour and a half later, like, yeah, I want to try on just 18 more things.
The best is my wife will always be like she'll hold something up and like, do you like this? And my answer every time is no. I try to say no as much as possible so we get us the fuck out of the store.
But don't you?
But you have to say yes because then she has to buy something.
Yeah, you got to throw out a
I'm
yes
like,
there.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
Why would you have to try it on? Let's go home and buy it.
I can tell just by holding it up that it's form-fitting and perfect, and you should buy that one.
I'm always just like, I guess maybe like I love my wife. I guess I'm trying to destroy her self-esteem in the end of the place. I'm like, that one looked good on you. Let's go.
My number 5 is church. My wife used to drag me along to church. And that only happened about twice, and it just didn't work out. And luckily, she doesn't go to the white people contemporary craft cheese singles style church anymore. So she's really interested in Messianic Judaism, which she doesn't drag me along to that. I'm kind of a-religious or occasionally Unitarian Universalist.
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
You guys don't know what a Unitarian Universalist is?
Not a clue.
Oh, it's really hard to explain. I mean, it's kind of like a church for people who are not necessarily
Into
religious.
church. Yeah.
But still want all the benefits of being part of religion.
It is a fellowship, but it's a secular church. It's a non-Christian. Or, maybe you have people there who are Christian, but in my experience, it's been more kind of a humanist, earth-based, New Age, occasional Buddhist ideas. A lot of ideas from American philosophers. I mean, you don't really hear the Bible quoted much at all. I mean, maybe for reference, but having grown up in a Christian church, it was so cool to go to a Unitarian church when I was in college. But anyway.
Is the Unitarian Church just like a giant book club?
No. It's really just this kind of like, as someone once described it, kind of like a warehouse. It's really nothing too permanent for a lot of people. A lot of people are kind of, looking for something. And, I'm a fair weather churchgoer. I go once a season, it seems. And I'll look online to make sure the sermon isn't something lame. And, if it's something kind of humanist in tone or earth-based or, maybe like a Buddhist lesson, I'm interested in that. But if it were like, sometimes they'll have the Jewish rabbi come or, they might have choir Sunday, not interested. Because I'm not going to bike all the way up to the other end of town just to hear a choir sing. No.
Yeah.
But it's the church for the rest of us. I'm you call me a recovering Christian, kind of an agnostic humanist. I appreciate the Church of the Subgenius, which is a mock religion. Pee Wee Herman is also an ordained minister. I'm an ordained minister. the Irreverend Dan Crall.
I'm a minister in the Universal Church of Life online.
See, anybody
I'm
can
a
do
reverend.
that. See,
All you do is you get your. I served as the minister at my friend's wedding and married them, and all you have to do is just put your email address in and hit submit, and you become an ordained minister from that church.
I did that, but I chose reverend.
Oh, maybe I'm a reverend. I don't know. Who cares?
but anyway, so yeah, my wife used to drag me to the church, but I didn't put up with it. We've actually gotten to a lot of agreements. I mean, I don't do stuff I don't like. I'm to that point in life where I just don't have time, and I don't have to. I don't go to friends' weddings if I don't want to.
You're living the dream, man.
I'm living the dream. I really am. I'm self-employed in a lot of ways. I every day is an adventure, and ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Whoa, no. I gots to keep on moving. And fuck that. I am not going to church.
Well, I'm a little jealous because that's my number 4.
Oh man, I would fucking hate to go. I think we go once every 4 years. I get dragged with my wife's family, and I complain about that day.
Mine's about 3 times a year, and it's not in English, so it's awkward for me.
I think it's weird when it's not in English. I'm like why don't you just tell me the cultist shit in English? So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's your next one, Mark?
Let's see. Going to see. Well, I guess this doesn't quite. Going to see a musical. I was gonna say Broadway musical, but it doesn't apply if you don't live in New York. But just a musical. Going to see a play, really, in general.
I'm glad.
But a musical in general. My wife loves musicals, and we go once a year on our anniversary because she really likes it. But it is not fun.
A musical or an opera?
No, thank God. My dad was always he's like, one day you'll have to do this thing, go to an opera and go to the ballet. I'm like, no, I don't actually, because my wife's normal. And he's like, and he's like, nope, you'll have to do it. You'll have to do it. I'm like, Dad, my wife's really not into it. I don't understand why we have to do it. One day you'll have to do this, son. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
That's like one of the, when you're in the courting stage, you have to find those things out.
Oh, yeah.
How much do you like ballet? What are we talking here? Once a year? Once 10 years? Never? Okay. We can have a second date.
I told my wife right from the start, there's certain things that are really important to me. When you talk about religion or taste in Broadway plays or anything like that, the only thing really you have to be a New York Mets fan. Everything else I could give a shit about.
That's still hard enough to find.
Yeah, well, she converted for me.
There you go. Dan, your next one?
I'm sorry, what? I just got pulled away momentarily.
Oh, okay. I thought you got quiet there.
I am still here.
Okay.
Okay, I said I don't like seeing musical plays.
Oh no, I heard that. Yeah, I was only.
We really didn't say much else after that. So what don't you like doing?
Musical plays suck. Musical films suck usually, and especially when you see an SNL sketch or even a part of Family Guy or South Park, and they break into a musical. It's like, oh, skip this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard the Book of Mormon was supposed to be pretty funny.
Right. I would go see that, I guess. I don't know. You guys ever seen Cannibal the Musical?
That's really funny, actually.
Yeah. That was cool.
Cannibal the Musical. It's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys who created South Park. They made a B movie before South Park started, and it's called Cannibal the Musical, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah. South Park is a brilliant show. I'm sure you guys are aware. I don't have to say that to you guys, but it's just such a wonderful reflection on pop culture and a great challenge to anyone's philosophy.
Yeah.
It's not just a stupid cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. It's smart. They mask it behind poop and fart jokes, but it's actually really smart.
That's so great. Because it's that brings everyone in.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like a good poop and fart joke?
Yeah, exactly.
Close the window. We got the airplanes flying overhead here in Oregon.
When I was a teenager, I think late teens, whatever, my parents went to go see or mid-teens to go to see Titanic the musical, and I guess it was one of the rehearsal shows, and a lot of things got fucked up on it, including the Titanic didn't sink at the end. Mm-hmm. They couldn't get that to work.
That's kind of the whole point of the entire show.
Yeah, everyone got tickets to go see it again when they had finished rehearsal and everything was supposed to be better. So my parents had no interest in seeing it again, so they sent me and my sister to go see it. It was the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. The songs consisted of things like I'm getting on the boat. I'm getting on the boat. And they sing about that. And it was so horrendous. And then that year it won the Tony for like best musical.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. My grandparent. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go on.
I was just say my grandparents once dragged me to a local production of Guys and Dolls at the Munster, Indiana Community Theater. Oh, it was terrible. I remember when intermission hit like 3.5 hours later. It's like, oh, can we please leave? No, not yet. Fuck.
Yeah, people always go up to me. They're like, "You like comic books? You should go see Spider-Man the musical." I'm like,
Oh Christ.
no, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Spider-Man doesn't sing in the comic.
Is a hard. You should is a phrase I'm trying to really work out of my vocabulary.
Yeah,
You should.
it's usually followed by something I shouldn't do.
You know what you should do? No, I shouldn't.
You're like,
you should do.
what annoying thing do you do that you want me to do also? Just tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, on my pedicab, the bicycle taxi, people will say, you know what you should do with this thing? Go cart people around on the bar scene. It's like, yeah, I send drivers out already. You know what else you should do? You should go to the football games and give rides. Yeah, that's our biggest money days of the year. I'm aware. Thanks.
You know what you should do? You should tip well.
Yeah. You should take a ride rather than talk my ear off.
You should advertise here.
That's the beauty of having a cell phone. Like, all people who start to talk my ear off where I realize this is going nowhere, I just, excuse me, I'm vibrating.
Mm-hmm.
Pull out my cell phone, make a normal conversation. I say, okay, I got to go pick someone up. That's great. I'm gone. They understand every time.
Yep.
You're like, didn't we have a conversation 5 minutes ago about how you lost your cell phone? Yeah, I just hate you. I don't want to talk to you. That's all.
That's why I get tired of people who are like, I don't want an electronic leash. I don't want a cell phone. I don't want to be that accessible. Well, what's wrong with you? You don't have to take any calls. People won't get mad if you don't take a call. It's understandable.
Yeah, exactly. Just people like feel obligated, and no matter what scenario they're in, to have to answer or respond to a text, and it's like, let it ride.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Yeah. For me, swing dancing. She used to want to go swing dancing a lot, and I fucking hate swing.
Ugh.
I would have really enjoyed if you hadn't said the word dancing. You just said swinging. She's just like, God, we've got to go do this. Like, we have these two twins and a donkey. We have to go have sex with them. Oh God.
I mean, like, what kind of asshole would come on here? Oh yeah, she wants to drag me along to fuck two hot twins. I don't like that, man.
The twins' names.
Oh, sorry about your problems.
The twins' names are Dave and Russ. So I guess I do hate it.
But yeah, she used to at Ball State. There was a swing dancing club, and I still carried a lot of that stupid Midwest meathead jealousy. And like, I saw her dancing with another guy, and I got mad, and I like gave her shit about it later, and I regret that. And I've even told her I am sorry. If you want to, I've even told her lately, because we're getting older. It's like, if you want to go out and meet another guy, as long as he's not some complete douchebag, I understand, but that ain't happening. It would have to be kind of a reciprocal thing. But so enough of that. I've been told it ain't happening, so I've kind of stopped thinking about it.
Well, that's good. What's your next
one?
So
my next one is I hate having to come along with my wife as she has sex with other people she meets in bars. It's not fun to do. And
that's the worst.
Yeah, that's my number one. That's definitely my number one.
It's so awkward. I don't know what to do with
Especially
myself.
when the guy's wearing too much cologne.
And they're all bossy about where to hold the camera, and they don't like the angles you're using.
She's like orgasming. I'm trying to like pretend I'm texting because it's just like I have to look away.
The guy won't finish, and it's like, come on, dude. It's been like 40 minutes.
Dude, come on. I mean, like.
You guys are right on, man. That really chafes my taint.
Did you have to take Viagra? God. I don't even know where we are. Any kind of chick flick movie, like we saw a couple years ago, this movie called Valentine's Day, which was a bunch of...
That's the movie with like 50 stars.
Yeah, and they all like have a
all in
Valentine's Day
love.
adventure, and it was really, really horrendous.
That's terrible.
Christian potlucks.
That's random.
You could have had any religion and another word, and I would have said, okay, that sounds terrible.
No, that's the thing. Like I mentioned, Unitarian Universalists earlier. I think for any good thinking person to go out and look for a church, if you are looking for a church, judge by their potlucks. You go to a Baptist potluck, you got cheeseburgers and cheese puffs and soda, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to, more of a hippie kind of Unitarian Universalist deal, and you got the organic tabbouleh here and fresh baked bread right over here and hummus. Maybe some people smoking weed out behind the bathrooms there. And, when I've gone to these Christian potlucks, I just can't relate to these people because whether anything that comes up, politics or hobbies, it's just like, ugh, what the fuck is wrong with you?
To be honest, my computer's about to die. I'm at 10%.
Can you plug it in? Can't you plug it in?
I have to go in there and wake my wife to get the plug. Sorry.
Do it.
I know that's really
would be an
lame.
interesting part of the show, dude. Wake up your wife and let's get a reaction.
That's a great idea. Usually our show goes like enough time that it's not an issue. Why don't we continue this on another show? Why don't we continue our conversation with you on another show?
I'd go for it. Whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it. Is Jay, you cool with that? It's getting late.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a
I'm shutting down in like 2 minutes. Let's. Why don't we come back? We'll do another show next week. We've really enjoyed it. You've been a great guest.
Well, thank you. I've had a great time. You guys are really fun to talk to and really fun to listen to. So this has been awesome.
Next time I'll be prepared and have a plug.
Mark and I both still have stories too. So we'll get to that.
There's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah. We'll get to that next time.
Whitney Houston will still be dead.
Yeah.
What's that?
Whitney Houston next week will still be dead.
Yeah,
so
she'll still be dead. Unless some great drug that's in her system will miraculously rise her from the dead.
And then she'll be Jesus.
So thebrinkofsanity@gmail.com. What else do we have? 631-676-1181 is the voicemail number. brinkofsanityshow.com is the website. And subscribe on iTunes. We will be back. I guess the three of us will be back in about a week. And we'll finish up all the stuff we didn't get to.
Sounds great.
Thank you for coming on, Dan. It has been great. If you are in the Oregon area and you see Dan Crall doing stand-up, go see him. And
I'll be around, or if you're in Corvallis, I'll be pedaling the pedicab, and I occasionally do crazy voice jobs for instruction manuals. So if you're doing any technical work, maybe you'll hear me.
There you go. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll be back next week. Goodbye.
Bye.